When I started dating my wife, we have been married 24 years. I had been living in the USA on an H-1B visa for a few years. It was truly love at first sight. We knew from day one we were perfect for each other. She was a Southern Baptist from the deep South. Me tall, blonde, all-American look but not American. Her beautiful Southern blonde. After dating a few months, she decided that the time was right to introduce me to her parents. She tried warning me about safe topics to discuss: golf, college football, etc. And some topics to avoid: religion, sex, politics. You know, the big ones. I was nervous, as you might expect. Well, her parents kept the wheels on pretty well during our first meeting, but as we were watching a college football game, her father let slip a look at that N-bomb run. I was floored. I had never heard that language out of my wife, and I went from excited about our future to what the hell I have gotten into. Because of the large amount of alcohol involved with that event, I waited until the next morning to bring it up with my wife. She was mortified, and said that yes, her father was very racist. She took great pains assuring me she was not, and thus we were able to stay together. But I had to endure her parents for holidays and events. I finally got the courage to ask her to marry me, and if you are Southern, you know that you have to ask the father for permission before you can ask the daughter. Well, I called to schedule a time to talk to him, but he is very crazy and seems to know what is going on. I am busy, I can't meet. He comes up with every reason in the world to not meet with me. Finally I just blurted out, listen, I am trying to do the right thing and ask for your daughter's hand in marriage because that is important to her. However, if you keep making this difficult, I will just skip you and ask her directly. Well, that just set the old man off. She won't say yes. You aren't American. I bet you are just marrying her to get a green card. Isn't that how you foreigners do this? I let my inner smartass out after this one, and let him know that there are far easier ways to get green cards than marrying into his family. He responded, fine, ask her, but she isn't marrying a foreigner. Spoiler, she did. We are. Many instances of issues over the last 20-some years with her family and my foreignness. About 4 years ago I decided that I wanted to get our DNA tested. I have always been curious, and we all have our family stories about where we came from. So, I pulled the trigger for my wife and I and both kids as well as my parents. You needed a different email for each submission back then, so I had my wife's info sent directly to her. I used my alt emails for both kids, and my main for me. The results come back and I immediately go to mine. Scandinavian, English, Irish, Scottish. I am literally glowing in the dark white. One of my children, the oldest, matches my heritage pretty closely. My other, while still a genetic match, as a child for all you Reddit she is cheating people show some Congo DNA. Like 2 if I remember correctly. This did make me curious, so I asked my wife to see her report. I don't have it. Okay, let's give it a few days, maybe yours is last. 3 weeks later she was too busy to check, but didn't think she had it. My parents had theirs, my kids and I had ours. So I sat her down and said, I know you have the results, and I am curious if you have Congo DNA like my youngest. Her shoulders slumped, she started to tear up, and said, I do have the results, I am 8 Congo. This is going to kill my dad. Well, 20 years of backhanded comments about me being foreign and all his racist crap. Well, you know I had a plan. Over the next couple of months we talked about this back and forth, and she realized that she shouldn't be protecting this man. He needed to face the truth, and maybe, just maybe, it may make him a little more tolerant. So, I shared the results with my youngest, who was quite proud of the results and shared that with people proudly. Fast forward to our next visit with the in-laws. We were watching college football again, and my father-in-law made another comment about blacks because he tried hard not to say the N-bomb in front of my children. My youngest said, I am too black. My father-in-law launched like a rocket out of his chair. No, you aren't. You are white and should be proud of that. My son, I am too Congolese, and proud of that. My Phil, you are not. Who taught you to say that? My son, my dad. My Phil then looks at me and says, why are you teaching him to say this? He is white. Me, funny you should mention that. I happen to have our genetic profiles here with me. Pulls out the full color printouts. Me, funny thing about genetics. Here are my results as well as my parents. Here are my kids' results. Here are your daughter's results. The question I have is, does the Congo DNA come from your side of the family or your wife's? I am more than happy to buy a test to help you explore your rich history. My Phil, this is bullshit science mumbo jumbo. Ain't no way. Me, actually, it is very accurate and only getting more accurate as more people share. Come on, let me get a test for you and your wife. My Phil, over my dead body. Ironically, that was the day the foreigner comments stopped. Never again was it pointed out I was from another country, nor were my children mixed. My Phil learned a hard lesson that day, and it was by far the best money I have ever spent. Still hate me, but I shifted the power dynamic. I work as a manager for a major cell phone carrier. The amount of times we see customers who don't pay their bill and get mad that their service is shut off is crazy. Like, we aren't going to continue to provide you service if you don't pay what you owe. I also do understand that people run into financial issues, and I will do what I can to help them out. Just don't be an asshole and we will see what can be done. So recently I had Karen show up to my store in a huff. When I see customers looking angry or annoyed come in, I take them instead of giving them to one of my reps, because I feel like ultimately I'll get asked to help anyways. So I see her walk in with her kid, and I look towards her and smile. Me, hello, how are you guys doing today? Karen, not so good. Me, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What seems to be wrong? Karen, well, you guys cut off my service. And I'm mad because I talked to your customer service yesterday and they said that I should be fine with service until I can make my payment next week. Now when it comes to situations like this, all I can do at the store is have her pay her bill to restart her service. When customer service CS makes promises like this, we can try to contact CS and have them turn their phones back on. Now the issue with contacting CS for a customer who has a past due bill is that the call will just go straight to billing to make them pay. If we enter another customer's number, CS will just hang up and report the store. So knowing this, I tell the customer exactly this to give her the right expectation, but I assure her that I'll do what I can to get in touch with CS. She didn't like that. Karen, what do you mean you can't restart my service or contact CS? It's your guys' fault that my service is shut off. Me, it's not that I can't. It's that it will be difficult to get someone on the line due to your account status. I'm just setting the right expectations. Karen rolls her eyes. Just get my service running again. So I guide her to my store's phone and call the number we have to call CS. On the phone I chose the option to speak with a CS rep, and the automated machine asked for the number I'm working with. I dial her number and we get sent to billing. We then hear you have reached the billing department to make hay. Then Karen interrupts. Karen, that's the message that I get when I call them. Me, yes. Like I said before, this will be the only department you'll be able to contact due to your account status. Karen, well, use your direct CS number. Me, this is that number. If you want, we can call back and try another option, but I think it will lead us back here. Karen agrees, so I hang up and call again. I try this time to reach a different CS department beside the general department that we call. But again, as soon as the system recognizes her number, we hear the billing message again. Karen, this is bullshit. Me, ma'am, please no swearing in the store. Karen, the first I'll say what I want. You can't tell me what to do. Me, you're absolutely right. But I can have you leave with no resolution to your problem. Karen, well then use someone else's number to get someone to answer. Me, like I mentioned before, I won't be doing that. I won't get my store in trouble for doing that. Karen, you have to listen to me. Now use your own number to get someone. Me, I'm not using my number. I've done all that I can do for you. If you want to use someone else's number, then you can call CS from a different phone. Karen, then give me their number. Me, gladly. I start walking to the back to write down the number for her. As soon as I open the door to the back room, I hear her say, that guy is an idiot. I stop in my tracks and walk right back to her. Me, you can leave now. I understand you're mad about your service being shut off, but that doesn't give you the right to insult me or my team. So leave, Karen. Well, I'm sorry, she said condescendingly. Please get me CS's number and I will. Me, no. You can Google it, Karen. How am I supposed to do that? My service is shut off. Me, not my problem. Now leave, Karen. After she notices that I'm not going to budge for her, picks up her stuff, grabs her kid and marches towards the exit. She says as she's almost to the door, you're an asshole. To which one of my reps replies, well, at least he pays his bill. Probably not the major meltdown most people expect from retail stories, but I felt like it was good to share. When I was a university student, one of my housemates was dating a guy from her hometown. She invited him to come visit for a couple of weeks, which we were all fine with. But that couple of weeks visit very quickly turned into him moving in and mooching off us. They both informed us he would find a job and pay his fair share. But this didn't happen. He made no effort to find a job. He didn't pay any rent, paid nothing towards the bills, and did nothing towards cleaning the house. He just spent all his time taking up our communal area, playing video games and watching TV. In their bedroom they just proceeded to have extremely loud sex that everybody could hear because the walls were too thin. In the end we had enough. It was about 3 months into his squatting that us remaining 3 housemates had a chat about whether this was acceptable. Obviously we were all in agreement that it wasn't and set up a meeting with the girlfriend and the interloper. It was decided I would be the one to broach the subject and take the lead on the conversation, informing them both that he had overstayed his welcome and it was time he went home. He argued that he'd been struggling to find a job and that's why he was unable to pay his way. but we all pointed out he hadn't even made any attempts to find a job, just spending all his time on the sofa playing video games. Eventually his girlfriend agreed that he'd been taking the piss a bit and asked if he wouldn't mind going home. He did, and I thought it was the end of it. Oh, it wasn't. On the day of his moving out, he proceeded to post something on Facebook, thanking my other two housemates for being welcoming hosts whilst deliberately dragging my ass in the posts, claiming I was a really poor host and was throwing him out for no reason. Of course I wasn't going to stand for that, calling him out and making it very clear it was a collective house decision and he had been living with us rent-free for several months, which was not acceptable. Pointing out we would have been happy for him to stay if he was paying any contribution to the house, but he wasn't. That ended in him making a groveling apology under my comment, saying he was sorry and he didn't intend for it to come out like that, etc. etc. I didn't accept it because he knew what he was doing and just said he should take the post down because he's made an idiot of himself. He did, but I still made sure my side of the story was out there by making my own post. Anyway, he went home. We got our house back. And he didn't visit again. Anytime my housemate and he wanted to see each other, she would go back home. After a few weeks, I'd found that he had also set up mobile contracts with his address listed as ours and was not paying them. I gave all the bills to my housemate to give to him. They eventually broke up, but honestly she wasted too much time and energy on the complete waste of space. He was just an entitled user who didn't expect to come up against 3 girls who weren't going to take his crap.